Great. Kendra, how are you? You say about everything.
Good evening, all. If I could have you rise to the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, all, and welcome to the Monday, August 15th business meeting of the New Britain Township Board of Supervisors. I have three comments at this time. One is that the board met in executive session on July 27th to discuss personnel. Second item is to announce that the board met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss personnel as well. And the third is actually a set of amendments to this evening's meeting. At this time, I will take a motion from the board to amend action item H. If someone would like to,
So moved.
well, do you want to spell it out for the record?
Yes, we're amending the motion to approve authorize the hiring of one township employee
All right,
and one temporary individual.
that's actually going to be Q.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be Q. Is there a second of that motion?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The agenda is amended. At this time, I will now take a motion to amend the agenda to add action item Q, which is for the, I'm actually going to turn that over to Matt to spell out.
That's on the.
Oh, yeah, that's right here. Sorry. For the board to authorize staff to procure the professional services of a staffing agency to temporarily fill the police municipal services clerk position for an amount not to exceed $22,500 per the 2022 budget adopted by the Board of Supervisors. So I will look for a motion to move that along to add it to the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
For the
Motion.
record, this is
carries.
being done because what was anticipated to be two hires didn't pan out. We need someone very quickly to be down in the police department. We don't meet again, so it's a necessity. So I assume tomorrow we'll take care of posting the revised agenda appropriately.
Yes.
Thank you, Jeff. And now at this time, I will look for a motion to add item letter R to the agenda, and this one I will turn over to Matt for explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am asking the board to amend the agenda this evening to add an additional motion, motion R, which is to approve a professional services contract with Corbett Incorporated for design services of the administrative area space planning services in the amount of $14,675. This too is of the emergency nature, and that we don't want to wait longer for this, given the changes that we've had that the board has supported in the hiring of additional staff people. We need this service in order for us to move forward with additional office spaces.
You were anticipating receiving this last week, but it
Yes.
didn't come in until today. That's why it's being added, correct?
Correct. Thank you.
All right, so Matt has explained what the amended action item or the additional action item will be. Is there a motion to approve?
Approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. That is the final action item that we will be either amending or adding to this evening's action item list. That concludes the chair comments. At this time, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which will be the presentation items, which we have none this evening. So now we will move on to number 5, which is subdivision land development projects. Again, this is informational only. Any action we make may be taken at a future business meeting of the board. We will start with A, Gilmore subdivision land preservation.
All right, so the board is well aware of this project. This is the parcel of land up at the corner of Keller and Kane Roads. And we have a larger scale version of the project on the tripod on the easel over there. This is a project that the township is moving forward with the Gilmore family. that are looking to permanently preserve a large section of open spaces,
31.44 acres
31.44 acres.
of their 38-acre property.
Amazing. This is a great opportunity. I'll turn it over to the township engineer here when I fumble through the introduction part of it. He can get you all the details. This is just a really good project for the township. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank the Gilmore family for this project and their willingness to move forward with this project. And they understood the importance of preserving this open space that is, it's up in our watershed area. And so I just wanted to personally thank them and just wanted to make sure that the board understands that it was a hard decision for them. And I just wanted to commend them for moving forward with it, and they've been great to work with. And I will turn it over at this point to the township engineer to talk about all the details.
There's not much more to discuss other than I'll just give a few more details, mainly for the public, since the board authorized us to prepare this plan. And it couldn't find a date, but we've been working this for almost a year. I think even before Matt, it was my first meeting with former manager, former solicitor, and myself on a Zoom call to get the ball rolling on this. It took some time for them, to come to grasp everything and work out the planning, several meetings with Matt and myself and the solicitor. And then the board authorized us to prepare this plan in exchange for creating one new lot. So what you see here is a minor subdivision plan. It's in exchange for preserving 31 acres. This subdivision will be approved in 2 phases. This is phase 1. There's I'm going to call it a 2-acre lot. It's 1.94. We have to stay under 2 acres per the Act 319. And if you need details on the Act 319, I'll turn over to solicitor on that. But they can't subdivide more than a 2-acre parcel every year. So next year, if they so choose, they have an option to create one other lot, or we'll prepare the plan for them at the approval of the township. And they'll have a second 2-acre lot up on King Road right next to that. And that would be it. So there will be a new house on the 31 acres. There's a building envelope. It's white on Keller Road. There's about 1 new house there, and then a potential for 2 new houses on King Road. And that would be it. They would not be allowed to further subdivide. They've already signed all of the appropriate agreements. This is kind of tail end here. This is the last step for you to approve the minor subdivision and also to waive the subdivision land development requirements. If you would require any of you on your own dime to do the improvements, since this is a township project, you're paying all costs, professional and otherwise, in exchange for preserving 31 acres. So that is what's transpiring here. There's no other, I think, fees being, there's no purchase price other than the township authorized and will pay for the professionals to prepare necessary documents. Docs were prepared, plans were prepared, and it's ready for your approval. I think there'll be a resolution prepared for the next.
Yeah, for the next meeting, and once we've done that and the plans are all in order, we can schedule a closing. And I would suspect that'll be sometime in October, so it's right around the corner.
We're a little ahead of schedule. I usually give myself a month or 2. I told Matt I want to have everything done and wrapped up in October and recording November, December. So got survey done pretty quickly. Once they gave the go ahead, we got it done pretty quickly. You won't see any changes. This is the plan. This is it. Planning Commission approved it. There's no zoning issues. Obviously, it complies with zoning. To be honest with you, we laid out everything to comply with zoning and to honor, as far as if there's any public improvements later, there's right away that we can do that. So if the township decides to widen Keller Road or King Road or do intersection improvements, that's still something that you can do. You don't give up that right.
There's also one other minor addition with the easement. There through the surveying part, the parcel that is on the corner. We found that there was an encroachment on the driveway going back to a garage. You see, like, this is the property line, kind of jogs this way. If you go out there and you look at it, it looks like the property is a straight line, but the property is not a straight line. And so there's a portion of the garage that is actually encroaching on this property. This property owner has a really good relationship with the Gilmores, and it's never been a problem. And so the township engineer included an easement, an access easement as part of this as well to solve that problem.
It's approximately 2,000 square feet, so it's very small.
Okay.
Actual area is 2,411 square feet, or they don't have to disturb their driveway. That comes out, that's not on the easement, that's in the area of the new lot, and it's even in the building setback, so it doesn't impact the lot.
Is that a perpetual easement or a 99-year perpetual?
It'll be recorded of record.
Okay.
And so the lot two, the 1.94 includes that easement.
Yes.
Okay.
1.94 is the gross.
And have you looked at the conservation agreement to make sure it's enforceable on behalf of the township?
Yes, we drafted the easement document itself as well, already ready to go.
Great.
That's all we have.
Is there any questions from the rest of the board?
Nope. Nope.
All right.
That's it.
All right. Thank you very much. Say what? Is there any public comment? All right, sensing none. Next on the agenda is B 315 Old Limekiln.
Mr. Chairman, our engineer is about 5 to 10 minutes out. Could we possibly switch with the,
We have to do a motion to do that, or can we just?
No, you
flip
can
them?
just, as a
Okay.
matter of course, if you're sure-
All right, if 84 Schoolhouse would like to swap, that'd be fine. If you want to step up. If you could please give us your name and both of your names and introduce yourselves, that'd be appreciated.
Hi, my name is Tony Maris. I'm an attorney, and I'm also the president of PRDC, who's the proposed developer. I have Tom Ready with me tonight from our engineer from Home Cunningham. This is a plan that you've seen before. You saw it at a sketch concept, 5-lot subdivision over Schoolhouse Road. This plan had a fairly long history. It was proposed once as 12 lots with a connection to Meadow. That connection's been eliminated. This plan is a by right plan, except for from the zoning standpoint, there are some waivers that are requested. There are 13 waivers, in fact, all of them have been supported by your engineer and unanimously by your planning commission. And most of them deal with things really relating to lighting and the design of the street with a hammerhead turnaround rather than a cul-de-sac in an effort to reduce impervious surface, reduce tree disturbance, and give more of an estate lot feel to this. The project does have a new proposed private street, which will be aligned with the public street across from it, so there's not an offset intersection anymore. And there is a trail proposed along the frontage, and in lieu of widening the road, there was discussion with the engineer and the planning commission, and I believe even this board previously about connecting the trail up further up the road. There's some language proposed to help resolve that because it is an off-site trail. So for a little 5-lot subdivision, its HOA could not maintain that portion of the trail. And I'm not sure the status of all the right of way along there. So the language I had proposed to your engineer and to the board was that we will construct a trail in lieu of the other improvements, but that the trail would be owned and maintained by, once off our property, will be owned and maintained by the township. And then one of the questions tonight is what to do with the trail in front of us. Do you want the HOA to maintain it in the short term until you decide the rest of the trail, or do you want to take dedication of that now and maintain it? So that was a leftover
I'll
from
touch on that with the solicitor.
Yeah,
in the
You're
very-
talking about the offsite component, correct?
the offsite component, yes.
So heading down to Cole.
And I would assume you would want to offer a dedication for the portion that's on our frontage, but you would not accept dedication of that portion.
Not
at
the
this
portions
time.
on your frontage. How much is all offsite by way of length?
About 230 feet.
And
I
on,
guess board ought to give some idea. I mean, it's
and whose property is
it's
that on?
on fires, I believe.
Fires and then Colebrook.
It's on Byers and Colebrook, but it's proposed to be constructed within the ultimate right of way already.
It's
So,
in the right of way, it can be constructed, not the ultimate, the ultimate's been dedicated.
Not along buyer's property.
Well, then you wouldn't be able to do it there because it's not within the regular right of way. So question is, you would have to secure additional right of way from the buyers, and then traditionally, my recollection is your ordinance says if there's a sidewalk on your property, you've got to maintain it.
Right.
Which is what
Hmm.
creates the issue for the buyers in Colebrook.
Or any property under that
Right.
has somebody else build it. When
And-
it's us or them.
and the other option is we could get an estimate that your engineer would approve for the value of the improvement, we make that contribution to the township, and at the time that buyers comes in for their development, which I know has been talked about, then it can be constructed at that point in time. So that's a subset to the option.
So planning commission, that's my out, that's my recommendation, and they're agreeing to, I think we're all on the same page. I know buyers have been before you, their plans are kind of filled with hole, they're looking at internal renovation before their subdivision plan and their additional, whatever they propose, warehouse, I think was something that was discussed. Either you just accept the fee and then we can work out logistics when they come in, or if you decide to do the improvements, you have the money, or if you want to have, I don't think that's going to get worked out on that project anytime soon, so I'm sure they're going to be done by the time buyers
I would
comes
hope.
in. Yes. So it may be easier just accept the fee. We can work that out. If we want to acquire the right of way and build it ourselves and we have the money. But I don't.
That's really your decision.
Yeah, if I recall, when you came in before, we were talking about the waivers of the curbing and the sidewalk, that was the generally agreed upon idea that in order to waive those requirements, that you would build that pathway on the property and off the property. I wasn't aware that it wasn't.
He's willing to do that. If we
I'm
acquire
willing
the
to do it if
He's
you
going
can
to build it.
acquire.
right-
Okay,
We still have the right of way yet.
So the other
Okay.
option is we can go knock on buyer's door, or the township can knock on buyer's door, figuratively speaking, and say, hey, would you want to dedicate this right away to us? If you get it and the time's up, we'll construct it. But as Mr. Gardner will tell you, I have a legal problem. I can't build something on property we don't own.
absolutely.
So
Right.
it's a chicken and egg. If you get it, we'll build it. So if you really feel the dream that you build, if you get me to build it, they will come.
And all we need to do is put time. So
Right.
within a certain amount of time, we can work that out. I think maybe the sister and yeah, come up with like 6 months, a year, whatever. And then if we haven't acquired by then it'll kick over to.
We'll take the fee in lieu
And
and
I'll
then, right.
work that out.
So the way I would propose, we would post the fee in lieu at the time of recording of the plan. And then if we get to build it, because it's within that time window, we get the fee back as a credit so that we can build it. If it's not, then the fee is there for you and then you can build it in the future. Or give the money to buyers and buyers builds it, and whatever.
I think we can acquire, I think
We
there's a good
can work.
relationship with the buyers and especially with the entity that bought the property and developed it. I think we approach them. They've been in front of us before, maybe not the board, but staff.
So there isn't a trail all the way on the Colebrook property?
No,
No, that's the other thing. I don't think it's to the property line.
no, it's not.
It's
No,
not.
it stops at the road. There's a curb ramp there and then it continues on their property. So the extension would be across buyers and then the portion that's not.
Yeah,
Built
I
on
wasn't
the
around for that, but that's what happens when you don't always just build it to nowhere. But they're willing to connect it, so.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see the whole area there, because I was under the impression that Colebrook had that pathway all the way to the end of the property line.
Do they have right away? Is that what's in the right away dedicated? It's just not built? That'd be.
I'd have to look for that part of it. It might be the open space area.
Give an arrow.
No,
Comments in there.
share it. Right there, yeah.
I know the idea for that was to glue the sidewalk to have an area for,
Yeah, so this is the limit of their sidewalk and their trail goes here and this would be the offsite across.
this is the buyers.
Correct.
Definitely.
All right, and there's ends here.
Yeah, they don't have anything going this way. Their sidewalk just comes and takes a left onto the crosswalk.
This would be getting people out of the crosswalk. They didn't have any need. In fact, wasn't involved in approval of that, but I would guess the crosswalk's there, so stop people at the crosswalk. We'll take them another 100 feet down where they can't cross, and there's no intersection. So that's why we don't do that. So for their development, we can get them to the crosswalk. We'd have to deal with that entity and also buyers.
Well, buyers and Colebrook.
I think it's
HOA.
doable.
It's an HOA ownership. Well, we should be able to deal with that. To their benefit, their people. anyway.
In my opinion, we'll be flexible with the township, however, it has to be.
So are we comfortable with the appropriate resolution, if we get that far, to say they'll pay for the cost. And if we're ready to have them do it before they finish their construction, they'll install it. If not, at the time of the development agreements, they'll post the funds required to do that amount. Does that sound reasonable?
Everybody?
Bill, staff?
I think it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We've done that.
The layout that's in front of you tonight is almost identical to what you saw before. So I know Tony jumped in, right? It's probably the biggest issue that we just got resolved. I was saving that to the end, but nothing has changed, right? The layout is really identical to what you saw before. So planning commission supported it. Again, this is private. It's a unique layout as far as the cul-de-sac to save trees and reduce impervious. I think this is the first time we're trying this, so
I think there's another
See what
one
happens.
behind us, that similar concept, but it is a low volume streets, 5 homes. So it will have that estate feel to it. There's no curbing, things like that that you would normally see, but it is a private road.
and it's aligned with
West Boulder.
West
Boulder.
So so that was the only change, but I think you saw that after that change. So I have no other items to discuss. That was the one item I did want to bring up, so we did resolve that.
And there are 13 waivers contained in a letter date updated to July 21st, 2022, which your planning commission voted to recommend all 13 of those waivers, including the grant of a preliminary final plan.
And I have no other comments related to the waivers. They were discussed. Some of them were resolved at your first meeting, planning commission. They're all related to the layout. They're all technical, related to the cul-de-sac and public improvements.
Does the board have any questions or comments in regards to the layout, the comments, anything?
Same as before, sounds good.
Thank you.
You may have some public comment.
Yeah, we will. I just wanted to make sure everybody's on the same page up here. Jeff, Greg, everything else is good?
Yeah, you're pretty good.
Okay. Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment online?
There's not.
All right, so I guess you know how to proceed then. Right? Jeff, Greg?
No, I didn't know. We know.
I don't-
There'll be a resolution for the next.
But I will see you at the next meeting.
All right.
Thank you all.
All right.
Have a great night.
Thank you very much.
Two meetings.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
First meeting in September is the 12th, the work session will be the 26th. So we'll take action September.
All right.
September 27th.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night, everyone.
All right, so it's
You
3:50.
want your,
Oh, do you want your little aerial back?
thank you.
All right, it's 3:15, Old Limekiln here.
Our engineer is not here.
Okay,
We are here. I don't know if we can get through it without him.
Yeah, it's not, there's no issue, so we don't have to wait.
if you want to come up and just give us your
Introduce
name
yourself,
and explain yourself quickly, and then we'll let Craig do talking, which is a skill of his.
John Thomas with Audax Revival, custom home builder. I'm here with Sharon DeLessio. They've owned this property for a little while. I think we were with you in here maybe 2 or 3 years ago, talking about a subdivision plan. We got some original comments back about the water, the draining of the water, some of the improvements we can make, road widening. And we worked through all that. We had some hiccup with the septic, which is why it's taken so long to come back in. So we redesigned the septic 3 or 4 times, and we have their approvals now.
And that issue was with DEP and the health department.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, it's
Not
about
a township,
secondary,
not a township issue.
not township issue.
So that was going on, and also on our end was the well requirements, because there are 3 or more, they need to do a well study. That also took quite a bit of time. So it's been dormant for a couple of years. We had worked out the road improvements. We had direction from the board planning commission. So he was just waiting on water and sewer approvals, basically. Nothing else has changed. I don't forget about waivers.
It's 3 lots, 2 new houses.
Yeah. One, there's 6 waivers. We have no objections to any of them. They're listed on page 2. They're willing to pay a fee in lieu of the improvements, that they're not constructing, that we've also agreed to in planning commission. So it's in order for approval, for final approval. I believe originally you were asking for preliminary, but it should be preliminary and final. I have no other comments. I know there was some comments at the zoning office that got passed on to me about this project set so dormant, about notification of residents. I did research and confirm that notification was given when the project originally was submitted. That's the requirement in the subdivision and development ordinance. They are not required, nor the township, to notify any residents of every meeting. I think that's a misconception with a lot of projects lately, that the township is not notifying and the applicant isn't notifying. Your ordinance requires one notification. When they go to planning commission and the plan is filed, it's not a requirement to notify all the residents every time. And I know your new website is very clear, a lot more information. Everything's readily available, but there was a complaint that people weren't notified, and that's not keeping with the current ordinances. So just want to make that clear. I have no other comments.
Jeff?
And there's 5 acres of conservation easement, so it's got
Clear.
some benefits.
Clearly delineated.
It will be when it's all said and done.
And it
We're-
spans all three.
Nothing against you. No.
There won't be any dog houses or other things back there in that area.
Is it a wooded area?
It's partially wooded. I'd say 50% of it's
Not
not
heavy.
wooded.
How are you delineating it?
We'll have to put like a limited disturbance when we build a fence to delineate, and then as far as maintenance and of the because there are agricultural soils back there. So I don't think any trees can come down. They can maintain the grass, but that's pretty much it. So I don't know if Craig has any ideas of how to.
Signs that say conservation area, no disturbance. This is nothing against you. It's a
Understood.
reoccurring problem
Theme.
in the township, that we accept these conservation areas and then people move in, they don't read their documents, and the next thing, there's trees getting chopped down and
Yep.
lawns being created, and
If we can find a way to accomplish that, and signage is a perfect way of doing that.
There's also another thing that we've been talking about internally at the staff level. How we manage conservation easements, and oftentimes it seems like, having gone through closings, you're not really necessarily reading everything and all the fine details. Especially with new homes, new homeowners might be overwhelmed with the scale of things. And oftentimes we found through hearing from residents that the builder will spend a lot of time doing a walkthrough of the house and not of the land. In the land, that's the rub that we have from a management standpoint of trying to manage these conservation easements. And so we've been talking internally staff-wise and wondering if we can develop a way that we can communicate directly to new property owners of new developments for conservation easements. Say, hey, welcome to New Britain Township. Notice that you settled. There is a conservation easement that is on your property. We're thinking about carving out a little space on the website to explain what conservation easements are, just to open up that dialogue, just so everyone knows when they go and buy that property, what they can and cannot do. It'll be a minimal investment from a staff standpoint. We believe maximum reward.
I think that's a great idea, because you're correct. At the time of settlement, the moving, it's probably mentioned. And they look at those, but by the time they pick the colors of their carpeting, et cetera.
Yeah.
So a letter after closing, with an informational sheet, what a conservation easement is, and there's one on your property. And this is what you can and can't do, is good.
Do you require deeds to be registered here?
Mhm.
Well, if you keep
Supposed to be, yeah.
an inventory of properties that have conservation easements, you come in, the deed gets registered, you can send a form letter out to the new buyer.
That would be a great thing to start.
Yes. I'm not sure that every deed gets registered, but there must be some report we get. I mean, we get income from,
Yes.
so we should be able to
We get reports.
identify
Yes.
when there's a new deed.
It's just a way that, we are continuing to build our information system also and digitize this data that makes it queryable. That we can find these properties and manage it and maintain it moving forward.
Quick side note, in certain townships that don't require fire sprinklers, the homeowner has to sign that form that says that they acknowledge and understand there's no sprinkler. And it's part of like the CO process. So I wonder if you could put a form in that they have to sign to request the CO from the building department, that's done, completed and signed over. Just a-
That's a good idea too.
That is a good
Do
idea.
the
Yeah.
buyers usually sign off on the CO or do they get the CO?
They get a copy.
They give a copy of it.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You could also, I went through it, I had to sign the plot plan and everything. For my closing, I had an initial, the actual plan and identified everything on the plan. My wife and I both had to sign. Kind of hard to dispute it when you actually see the plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Our first job is to inventory all of them,
Yeah,
and then we can.
we can find ways to make it a better process.
Yes.
Yes.
Going forward and current.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But to start with that process and keep up with
Catch up
current,
with what we can as it's coming
current as
through.
it comes in and then go weed through back. Yes, so.
Another thing to add to the list, Matt.
Oh, I'm mad that.
Get it done by Wednesday.
Wednesday after I come back.
So does the board have any comments or questions in regards to 315 Old Limekiln?
No.
No? Is there any public comment? Any online comment?
There's not.
All right, so we know how to proceed. The applicants know how to proceed.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, thank you.
If you catch your engineer, you can avoid them opening the door.
Don't let him bill you for what he's,
There you go.
for any of this.
There you go. Thank you.
Tell them to charge it to dinner.
All right, so the next item on our agenda is number 6, zoning hearing board applications, which we have none. The next item on the agenda after that is number 7, public comment. Is there any public comment in the room on any non-agenda items or action items? If you could please stand and give your name and address.
Hi, Mary Ann Bertie, 115 Dolly Lane. Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, I was just calling, I'm here in person because I wasn't able to get a follow-up because everybody's so busy. On the condemned house next door to me, 113 Dolly Lane. The neighbors and I do keep track of the sharp sales that have been going on, and I did mention that I was coming here tonight, so a couple of neighbors did ask if we could find out any information. I was hoping our attorney was going to be here and might be able to provide some insight, but maybe you know, or could at least get back to me, because apparently the sheriff sale has been postponed at least 3 times, and the most recent one was Friday, the 12th, got postponed for October. So can you, and we had a chance to talk recently. Do you have any more information?
I don't. We are at the mercy of the sheriff's sale.
Can I ask you who your attorney is?
Our attorney meeting our township attorney.
Oh, okay.
Because he's usually here and I.
Well, no, he's
This
no
is-
longer our attorney. This is our attorney.
What's your address of the property? in question?
113 Dolly. I have been following along also. I didn't check to see what happened. I didn't realize it was postponed again. But I do know that it was actually sold last year
Yes.
and the buyer defaulted.
And-
So it went back up for sheriff's sale.
Yeah. And Matt, you did, at that time, we didn't know for sure, but you had said the likelihood is that something could have happened along the way. Those of us who live in the neighborhood, can you give any insight? Because this is, a couple of years now, more than a couple of years. As to, I know it could be any reason, but can it keep on getting postponed like year after year like this?
I think you're asking a legal question of the manager,
Yeah,
which I,
yeah.
all
I
due
think we're going
respect,
to turn that over to
he's not
staff.
competent to answer that question. The legal system is
Complicated process.
there we go.
Let Jeff answer this. Yeah,
Yes.
please.
Well, I was just gonna suggest something to her.
What's the record owner of property now that's in disrepair?
Well, it's vacant, it's condemned, so everything's shut off on it. It has been since, the beginning of 2020.
What's the name of the, who owns it at this point?
The
Before
person-
insurance sale?
I believe the bank owns it now because I believe we as a township, we have liens on it, right? And
It's still owned by Mr.
Samsung, something like that, Sunberg,
Yeah, there's a long.
Sundberg.
Sunbird?
Yeah,
Kenneth Sunberg.
Okay.
No, John.
John Sundberg.
As
We can fill the solicitor in on the
Right.
backstory.
Okay,
Because if the bank is trying to go to foreclosure, I don't know why they're postponing it, because the other thing is, they're pouring money into it, I guess, to save it from tax sale and all that sort of thing. Why would they not want to get it sold quicker?
correct.
It may not be selling, to be honest with you.
Well, but the bank would,
Yeah.
all they have to do is bid costs and they own it. That's better than keep Tilly down, but we'll check.
It's been on since May, right? John Sunberg. It's been on, the last notice I got was in May. And it just keeps getting delayed. Getting postponed.
I would say that if you're truly concerned, the person you need to be asking the question to would be the attorney for the bank. Because they're the only person that has the ability to postpone it.
That's what we were wondering who. actually was the one that was-
So I can check the docket entries and find that out.
Thanks. And then other information that you think would be helpful, because it has been condemned since, I think, January, February 2020.
I understand what you're talking about, and I'll make the information I gather, I'll provide it to Mr. West, and he can send it on to you.
Is the property being maintained in any way?
Well, I did want to point out, I did have the chance to tell Matt that we were seeing people on the property, and somebody has been coming out to cut the lawn every 2 weeks. Most recently, we did see somebody there last week, which we were a little surprised at. We saw 2x4s being used out back. I actually was leaving my house to go to an appointment, and it's all I could see. So the neighbor on the other side of the property was also trying to figure that out. We weren't sure what happened. We don't think anybody went into the house because we were told nobody should be going into the house. I can tell you the vehicle that parks in the driveway when they do the lawn, it doesn't look like something you find around here. It looks like it has like bullet holes in it, and it's a big chunk out of the front of the pickup is out.
Well, I think we had
Yeah.
this conversation before. If you have concerns about what's going on next door, it's the police department you should be calling. Waiting to tell us about it isn't gonna help. But at least it's being maintained. The grass is being cut.
And we agree that it must be the bank that's doing it, but the vehicle has to belong to whoever they hired to do the loan. I'm just letting you know that.
I'll see what I can find out and let Mr. West know.
Thanks.
We'll check the property and make sure it's secure. As far as,
So that comes from you, if anybody's allowed to go onto the property?
well, if it's condemned and it should be boarded up or locked up to where nobody can.
It is, wow.
So those kids might try to go in there and do things, so we'll check on it, make sure it's secure properly.
It would be helpful just because it's been boarded up and locked up for a while, and it does look like it's all deteriorating. Okay, thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Is there any public comment online?
No, there's not.
All right, we will now be moving to our next on the agenda, which is number 8, which is the action items.
Get ready.
Huh?
Get ready.
Well, I have this nice piece of paper in front of me. I wasn't expecting that. Make it a little easier, I suppose. All right, first item under the action items is letter A. I'm looking for a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the Board of Supervisors meeting, and let me, because this doesn't have everything spelled out for me. Hold on a second.
June 20th and July.
Yeah, my thing's not opening up for me. Where is it? The technology, isn't it a wonderful thing?
No.
Where are they? There we go. Sometimes they are. Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the June 20th, 2022 business meeting and the July 11th, 2022 workshop business meeting of the New Britain Township Board of Supervisors.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second,
Are there any comments or questions in regards to the motion? And seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to make a point out, there's 3 minutes here. It was 7 minutes, did not get signed for the last meeting. So
Okay,
want to make everybody aware of that.
very good.
And that's for this one.
Okay, the next motion that I'm looking for is motion B. I'm looking for the board to approve a motion to approve the schedule of bills dated August 5th, 2022 in the amount of $428,730.87. And to authorize the township manager to pay all the bills per the attachment.
I'll make that,
Oh, go ahead.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carried. All right, this is weird. Anyway, I will now be moving on to letter C. I'm looking for the board to make a motion to approve all items on the consent agenda dated August 15th, 2022 per the attachment.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any comments or questions in regards to this item?
My only
I'm waiting.
My only question was that the first one that we see still has our previous solicitor at the top of the document,
Because it's,
even though it is dated in 2022. Does anything need to be changed on that, or is
Needs to
that?
Be changed.
Okay.
That was done before.
Yep.
Draft was done before we got here, so we can just provide a new page from that.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So, nothing. Okay,
If you're gonna approve it, we'll just change it
gotcha.
administrative.
Very good. Is there any other comments or questions in regards to the motion? Sensing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. The next motion on the agenda is motion D. I will be looking for the board to make a motion to approve a deed of easement with the Chapon New Britain Township Joint Sewer Authority for a township. Okay, the motion's a little wonky there. For a township owned parcel on Schoolhouse Road and Road Avenue per the attachments. I need the motion and a second first.
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions in regards to the motion? I'm waiting to see if anybody has any questions. If they don't have any questions, I don't need you to say anything.
We're waiting for Matt.
I was just gonna say,
Okay,
we
Clarify.
have representatives from sewer authority here.
okay.
If you want them to provide updates, if you don't have any questions, now for your time.
The rest of the board?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Gentlemen, if you'd like to step forward. You guys don't say anything. I'm just gonna ask for to approve it. Everybody got really quiet.
That's why.
Good evening. If you'd like to introduce yourselves, I'm not quite sure everyone knows who you guys are.
John Schmidt, Executive Director of School Authority.
I'm Joe Nolan, authority engineer, CPS engineer.
Good evening, gentlemen. Yes, please.
We've been before you previously regarding our pump station #4 project. And I can give you a quick update on that. We finally received our planning approval for that project, and they are in the process, DEP is in the process of reviewing our water quality management permits for construction. The project required the authority to obtain 6 easements, 5 across private property and 1 across township property. We have acquired the 5 private easements, but we still have the easement across the township property. And I've provided the legal description of the easement and a plan of the easement. And I have a color rendering of the easement. And our solicitor, Mr. Bagley, provided a deed of easement, which was submitted to the township to be utilized by the township and allowing us the easement. I also provided, at the request of your engineer, Janine Gilmore, a copy of the construction plan in the vicinity of the easement, just so they can verify that there's no impact to the stormwater facility that's on that property at the moment. I believe we've given you everything that you need, and I'd be happy to answer any questions prior to you considering.
Does the board have any questions for the?
This is the project at New Galena.
Yes.
Yes, okay. I swear you said, someone
I-
said
I was
schoolhouse.
say there was a
And
reference to
railroad.
I don't
schoolhouse
wanna get
somewhere.
into- There's a lot of staff changes. There's a lot going on. Everybody kept talking about the pump station. One of my first meetings back with the township a couple of years ago, I think John or Joe gave Eileen Bradley a master of your whole layout from the pump station to that. And she rolled it out. I think you asked me a question. I go, I don't know what they're doing. I don't even know what's going on. And everything got focused on the pump station.
Right.
With on this. And I don't think until Janine asked for this, I never saw this. No one asked me.
Yeah.
I know Janine knew of it. I knew of it. I think John communicates a lot with staff, but we didn't know that you needed something. And I know that this is not presented to the board, this easement, but it's required as part of the pump station.
Right, we have an existing pump station number 4 off of Walden Way.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's hard to get to Grumpy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
The pump station's in the back of that property. We have an easement for that.
Salisbury.
In order to get to the new pumping station, we have to construct a gravity line from old pumping station number 4 to new pumping station. That will go through township property, the Maple Woods Condo Association,
I got
and
confused.
2 residential properties to come out on Walter Road. Go down Walter Road a little bit and then cut across the Bucks County Township property. Okay, we already have that easement, Bucks County easement. So this is the last piece of the puzzle. We did provide this information previously. I know that there was some changes, but
Yeah, between the change of manager, solicitor, and engineer swapping and coming back with Gilmore, we were never, and unfortunately, we haven't had our meeting with the sewer authority in a couple of years because of COVID. So yeah, the only thing we were aware of leading up to this, to this coming before us was still the concept of how the pump station number 4 is being replaced and it was going across Veterans Park and where the line was going. We were not informed by anyone that it was a much more extensive project. I understand that, you know, as part of the new pump station number 4, the lines and laterals and mains had to be altered and changed, but I just found out the extent of it when I looked at my packet earlier. So you have to apologize. We have to somewhat apologize that none of us have seen this before.
well, in addition, just so we're clear, in addition to the easement to get from the old pump station to the new pump station, there's also going to be a force main and gravity sewers in New Galena Road, Barry Road, all the way down to Railroad Avenue, where we cross underneath Railroad Avenue. So, I mean, it's a big
It's
project.
extensive, yes, but we've not been informed of the extent of the project until
What can we do to?
Friday. Basically,
I believe your engineer has the plans, and
I'm looking at him right now.
Greg doesn't, but we did.
I could go either way on this. So, different direction from- So we didn't do any type of meeting. We work with the authority all the time.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You know.
I don't doubt that it's
I
been
trust
done.
the 2 individuals over here.
Yeah, I
There's
don't.
There's no hidden surprise.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
don't ask me, I haven't done a review.
I don't doubt that it's not what needs to be done. It's just we're this is the first time we're seeing the extent of this project.
And I think I mean, that's up to you what you do. 3 people to vote yes to move this forward. I have one question. It says the existing pump station is to be abandoned by others. Or is to be abandoned and plugged. Is the authority doing some of the work themselves?
Oh, yeah, our contractor is going to completely abandon it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's part of the.
By others.
Yeah, that's not right.
Yeah,
Others will be the contractor.
And then pump station will be abandoned, partially removed by others. So,
it's on that little hill.
yeah, I'm just saying you're leaving some of it then. It says
Well,
partially.
we're gonna take it down like 2 feet and
Okay.
fill it in,
Okay.
and you won't see it.
So the old infrastructure will be under the ground, but everything above ground will be going.
Joe provided one sheet for us.
You'll just see grass level up.
Okay, and then part of this is also, there's a temporary construction easement. The only issue or potential issue I saw is that's crossing over the outlet pipe for the detention basin. Obviously, any machinery or anything that's going through there, if they damage anything, again, you guys let us know and That'll be on the contractor anyway, but you will have construction vehicles going, is that on top of the berm or?
No, it's up down the bottom of the
Still
berm.
at
It's
the bottom.
actually, if you look at the plan that I provided, you can see it's quite a ways away from the berm.
But it's where the two outlet pipes are, where the outlet pipe is.
Right.
So you will be crossing the 36-inch pipe there, but, so just any damage or anything like that, the authority will at least notify us and your contractor obviously fix
We'll
that.
let you know when that work's gonna be done, so you can be out.
Yeah, okay, well, just notify the township and someone from the township or our office will be there. But I don't have any other comments on it.
Let me ask Jeff before you guys had, Jeff, have you had a chance to review the
I've
documents?
not seen the easement itself, no.
Okay, so then if our attorney has not had a chance to review anything, we're not gonna be able to approve anything this evening.
We're going to bid next month, so.
Well,
Well, we have meetings next month, so.
yeah, so,
Do you need us to come back next month or?
well, I have to get through the rest of the board first, so you guys are gonna have to sit there for a second. All right.
Well,
Rest of the board?
Mary Beth did point it out to me. Our motion is for a township-owned parcel on Schoolhouse and Railroad. The plan that you showed us is near Sellersville. So
But I
is
was
the,
just- Yeah.
is the motion for this parcel near Sellersville or for
It's
Schoolhouse?
Parcel, which is in the Twin Maple, or not Twin,
Yeah,
Tower Hill Meadows open space, is where the easement is.
So it's not Schoolhouse and
Yeah,
Railroad.
so we will need to amend
Yes,
the
so
So the
the
motion.
easement's wrong.
That's why
The
I'm
easement says
sitting here
Schoolhouse and
confused and
Railroad.
going,
Yes.
Schoolhouse and Railroad? What the-
Yeah.
we've Never heard about this before. What's,
No, there's
Okay.
nothing, I don't.
okay,
there's Nothing yet.
okay. So the-
That's what your easement says.
So the easement's wrong then.
No, the easement's right.
She's got a
Deed of
copy of it
easement
right in
says-
front of her.
Schoolhouse and Railroad. The description, the second paragraph.
It's done tonight.
Yep, nope, not getting done tonight. Sorry.
It does say that, right?
Okay, well,
Yep.
we'll have to go after our solicitor on that. You have Mr. Bagley send me a corrected version of that,
Okay.
so we'll do. I can review it and forward to the board, Mr. West, for the next agenda.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that due to the nature of the project and the timeliness, we may have to have a action item on the
That's what I was thinking
The
too.
early
work
September.
session.
Yeah.
So- Our next meeting is Monday, September 12th, so
At
At
the
10
morning
a.m.
meeting.
10 a.m. Yes,
So do we need a motion to say,
to table the
The motion to table. the
yes.
action
Yep.
on-
Yep.
What letter is it?
It is letter D.
I'll make a motion to table action item D.
I'll second.
Is there any other comments or questions for the applicant before we close this out? Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, when will we expect all new documents so that we can have at least a week for our engineer and our solicitor
Yeah,
sitting
we'll
tomorrow?
get it to you tomorrow.
Okay,
Terrific.
all right, fantastic. All right, so we have a motion and a second to table. Is all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I
Aye. Motion carried. Sorry, gentlemen.
Don't talk about the Schoolhouse and Railroad.
So,
Yeah.
John, while you're here, I don't know if it's been talked about yet, but we would like to have a State of the Union Sewer Authority update from you guys, maybe in October, November.
Yeah, haven't heard about it, it's fine.
What,
I thought we were gonna do it
in the new
early
year.
in the year, new year.
are we waiting,
Haven't Coordinated yet.
or are we waiting?
Like
Because of the
February.
budget.
Oh, because of the budget, yeah, all right. Well, but considering we were a little behind the eight ball, would we like a quicker update and then do another one in February?
Yeah, to make sure they aren't doing anything to any of our roads next year that we're not aware of.
Would you be
Well-
amenable to that?
Sure, when,
How about at the next meeting?
Can you come on September 12th?
the work session?
Yeah.
That's the morning meeting?
Yeah,
Yes.
10 a.m.
That's fine. You will do that anyway.
Okay,
Yeah, so then combine both things.
yeah, all right, that works. All right, thank you.
Thanks very much.
I looked at it
I'm
from a
not
technical,
crazy.
I looked at it from a technical aspect. I didn't look at it from any, I didn't look at the language because I figured everybody looked at it already.
Yeah.
You're not
Cross-pollinate.
at all.
Ah, that's
Okay.
fun.
Details.
Details, words. Yeah, I see I'm a numbers guy. All right, letter E, I will be looking for a motion for the board to accept the resignation of James Bender from Parks and Rec Commission and to authorize the advertisement of an opening on the Park and Rec Commission per the attachments.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a first and a second. Any comments and questions in regards to this motion?
No, just wish to thank James for his years long work on the Park and Rec Board. It's been greatly appreciated and it's sad to see him go.
And I'll second that.
Yep.
So if there's nothing else, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. All right, we are moving on to letter F. At this time, I'm looking for a motion for the board to authorize zooming and recording of all township meetings per the attachments.
It would be all committee meetings. Yep.
All right, looking for a motion.
I'll motion that.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any comments or questions regarding this motion?
So I'm just going to ask, since it will be all of our public meetings, I'm assuming, all our boards and commissions, that our staff representative that comes to the meetings will be the one who will be doing what Mike is doing now, the moderator and everything. Do they have that capacity? Are they, I know in the Park and Rec Board, Shell is very involved in the meeting itself. I don't want to try and stress out the representative of the township, as well as having to do zooming and recording.
Having done it myself, it's doable.
Okay,
I don't anticipate a problem with it. And this is also, if I could ask, would the board like to take action to change how we advertise our Zoom meetings? It has been practiced prior to my tenure that those who, and correct me if I'm wrong, only those who notify us prior to the meeting get the live link. I think we're beyond that right now. I think Zoom technology has updated to a point where we utilize the waiting room. That was a holdover back when it was, Zoom was first starting and there was a bunch of Zoom bombings happening, for lack of a better term. I believe we can manage that now with a waiting room, meaning once the Zoom meeting and meeting materials go live, we will post that Zoom link on our website and social media so anybody can access the meetings real time live.
can we do that through YouTube and make it a YouTube live video, since that's where our YouTube channel is?
My goodness, you're like asking to cook with gas now.
Yeah, I'd be a little more afraid of that. You know,
Okay.
you have a little bit more control over the Zoom meeting
Yeah.
than you do a YouTube live meeting.
True. I'll just-
Can we just start with Zoom?
Yeah.
There we go. Let's take
Yes.
baby steps here.
I was just trying to combine both mediums at the same time, so to save a step. But yes, I understand the concern that we would be able to moderate who is on and who is.
In the interest of more, public participation, to have most municipalities make their links live for live interactions. I think it would be a step in the right direction if the board so chooses.
So do we, I guess all that's contained within the motion.
If
Okay,
we don't need,
okay.
Don't need to amend.
All right, I have a first and a second. As all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. We're moving on to motion letter G. We'll be looking for a motion for the board to approve the appointment of the new actuary for both the non-uniform and police pension funds per the attachments.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. Are there comments or questions?
Who is the pension actuary? I think maybe that would be good to state for the public.
is the motion to appoint CBIZ? Is that what the motion
For
is?
the recommendation.
Yep, very good.
Yes.
So we had two finalists. If you remember, the Staff Pension Advisory Committee met, when was that, spring, or I think it was early
May.
spring, and recommended an RFP process for pension actuarial services due to continued problems that we've been having with our current actuary in timeliness of reporting, getting important information from them. It was a long haul and thank everybody's patience during this process. And we had two finalists and both of which could do the job and do the job well. And it came down to references. And if you looked at the memo that I provided to the board, yeah, it was pretty evenly split. And I'm confident in the board's recommendation of CBIZ.
Everybody comfortable? Everyone good?
Yes. Mhm.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye, motion carried. Next motion is letter H. I'm looking for a motion for the board to approve the hiring of Zachary Jenkins to the Public Works Department as a laborer operator truck driver effective August 15th, 2022. And this is the previously amended motion.
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second,
Is there any comments or questions from the board regarding this motion? Sensing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye, motion carried. This time, I'm gonna move on to letter I. I will be looking for a motion from the board to award the 2022-23 Bucks County Consortium fuel bid per the attachments.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
And that I think goes to Michael, correct?
Yes, there's a little bit of a wrinkle to this story.
So in the past, the only real wrinkle is we'll be awarding those two items. Because we did receive bids on those. The problem this year is the cost of fuel and things like that. We did not receive any bids for the size of our fuel tanks and deliveries for number 2 heating oil. We coordinated with our solicitor and believe the quantities we get, we can handle that through the proper bidding process for a second-class township by just obtaining 3 quotes every time we get a delivery, and can generally suffice by meeting those state bidding requirements by getting bids for the number 2 heating oil when needed.
All right, very good. Are there any comments or questions from the board?
No.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye, motion carried. Next item is letter J. I'll be looking for the board to make a motion to award the 2022 road program per the attachments.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, who gets this one?
Just to be clear, the staff is recommending that the board not award alternate 1, which was Farview and Naomi Lane, and only to award the primary bid for Schoolhouse Road to the bridge over West Branch and Chamonix, all the way up to the curve just past Colebrookdale, and also Cedar Hill Road from Schoolhouse up to 202.
Well, then I have a problem. Because I don't think that's the way it's written up.
The motion did have a typo and said that it was it the Creek Road?
Yeah, Creek Road.
Yep. we
But is that
updated
what
this.
they bid on?
No, it was not. That was a typo in the motion, or in Mike's memo, It was, it's Cedar Hill Road. We checked the bid, it's all Cedar Hill.
In the new memo, it says Cedar Hill.
I was asked by Matt to make that adjustment this morning for the packet, so we
Yeah.
did change that this morning.
Change this morning.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Is everyone good then?
Well, I did do some, a little recon through some of the other townships in our area, just to see, because I would like to get a gauge of what you can consider would be per mile to do road paving, because I did not want to be paying an exorbitant amount of money now if we had bid earlier in the year. And through my little looking at what other townships have paid for their paving, we are a little bit higher, but not that much more. So not even 10% higher. So I feel confident that we should do that now in this year instead of waiting for next year and bidding for a whole bunch of roads.
Yeah, there's a couple things, scale, because we're not, we're only doing 2 roads. The more you do, the costs start to come down, economies of scale, mobilization. And, as you said, also, time, this is not a recurring theme that I would like to continue to bid so late. And I am, just to announce, we are moving forward with building our GIS data set to provide for a road paving assessment. And that is hopefully going to be completed in the next 2 weeks. So by the time I get back from my vacay, we can move forward with the first part of building our road pavement assessment plan.
So considering for next year, when would we try to aim to put out our bids for road paving next
As
year?
early in the year as possible, like springtime.
Do
right?
we
March?
normally do it in February or March?
No, we don't normally, but
I
other
thought in years
townships do.
past we
Have some
did.
Done in December of this year for ready to go.
I thought we've done them in the winter in the past, so.
So I didn't know you did that. I could have shared more information. I thought it was gonna be really high. I haven't been involved.
I did find you in another township, so it's
I
okay.
could say, but I checked our 3 largest clients that are in this area. And I talked to the engineers that do the road. They were shocked that you got this good. You got great prices for 2 roads.
Yes.
I mean, everybody said, did you say 20 roads? I said 2. Everybody laughs. And then I say it again, they're like, come on. And so you got a really good price here.
For 1.3 miles, it's
For how
like,
many?
we're only doing 1.3
Yeah, so
miles.
We're big townships are doing 15, 20 miles
Yeah.
a year. We have them, the handicap ramps that were approved at the beginning of the year are just finishing now because of concrete work. All that's gotta happen, all the design. So as you scale, as your road program gets bigger, you gotta coordinate handicap ramps, crosswalks, striping. And then the prices start going up, but the earlier the better. Yeah, that's, he is aware of that. It's good winter projects, especially if you're designing handicap ramps, getting PennDOT approval. But you got good prices, so
Yep.
I was shocked.
That we
I
did.
mean, the contractor's local, he's not gonna, he's not one of the big, I mean, the bigger outfit, the big one, it was a little bit higher, but not much. You got some really good prices for that as well, so.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. All right, we're on to K. I'm looking for a motion from the board to approve resolution 2022-13, signatory authority for Pennsylvania's crash information tool for the attachments.
I'll make that motion.
1 second.
I have a first and a second. Are there any comments or questions
Bless you.
in regards to the motion?
I'd like to hear from Chief.
I was gonna turn it over to him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, so the PennDOT offers to police departments an analytical tool to look at crash data in specifics, down to areas that are most concentrated for accidents, with heat maps and additional information that is very tedious for us to pull ourselves right now from our own record management system. So this, one of our goals, of course, is to reduce accidents 10% compared to last year. This tool would be one of the things that help us determine where we may need to deploy resources in order to help, achieve that goal. As a lot of you know, we're the biggest issues or concerns that are brought to the police department usually revolve around traffic incidents or complaints of that sort. So this tool would help us greatly in deploying our resources, determining that deployment. The solicitor has reviewed the agreement, which PennDOT requires us to sign in order to gain access to the tool.
Any comments? Questions?
Or is the township required to do anything?
No, the police department already provides PennDOT with all our crash data. We're required by statute to do that. So we're already meeting that requirement. This is just, they would have agreement because they're providing us additional information that they don't release to the public.
Everyone else good? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. All right, at this time, we're moving on to letter L. I'm looking for a motion from the board to approve resolution 2022-14, 267 Creek Road preliminary final approval for the attachments.
It's a lot line change where 283 Creek Road is providing.
Don't I need my motion in second
Yeah.
first?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I need a motion.
I heard it was.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? All right, I have a first and second. Jeff,
Yes, the resolution was in your packet. It's a request to shift the lot line by 0.4277 acres. And 283 Creek Road will be conveying that acreage to 267 Creek Road, reducing some nonconformities, and I believe the resolution pretty much covers all the issues. Planning Commission was fine. I think Craig's fine.
I already presented this, the applicant could make the last meeting, you guys are okay with it, we prepared a resolution, sister prepared a resolution based on our feedback, which is basically our review letter. I know the applicants here, I'm assuming they have no questions.
Nope, we're here to answer questions.
There's no questions. I took care of it last meeting, so it's ready for your approval tonight.
does the board have any questions?
No.
Comments?
No.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
That's through all that.
All right, we're on to letter M. I'm now looking for the board to make a motion to authorize advertisement of ordinance 2022-09-03 stormwater management amendment.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second. Oh, sorry. Mary Beth.
I have a first and a
I'll have to
second.
apologize.
I'm not even gonna ask for questions or comments. I want to hear who's gonna be in charge of explaining this one.
Well, actually, the DEP is requiring certain modifications to your stormwater ordinance.
As far as your ask for.
Right, have to be done by the end of September. So you'll note the changes are not significant. So I actually don't have a lot of alternative but to have it advertised for your regular meeting in September.
That's what I told the planning commission when they approved it. I said, you have no choice. And I don't know what your packet looks like as far as the ordinance. We discussed this at staff. They have it.
Yeah, so what we did for this go round
Yes.
for the advertisement, we provided the red line version to the board just to show you what is being updated.
So your ordinance, you have an existing ordinance. So there's a couple options. You can adopt the model ordinance of DEP and some townships do that. You have a very good existing stormwater ordinance. So most townships around here just update the ordinance. That's what we did for you. But then so we have a chance to update the ordinance. We need to clean up some issues. So what I had Janine do, and I discussed at staff level, was anything highlighted is a recommendation from my office to change. Some is very minor, just to match the zoning ordinance, the definition of impervious coverage. I mean, there's nothing hidden here. The only thing that is actually a good thing is, and there's a lot of new people here from a couple of years ago, but we had a big issue where part of the omnibus a couple of years ago, this is a couple of years ago, the former solicitor had they got a little tough on stormwater management for existing properties with existing impervious. So if someone's just building a pool on 10 acres and they have outbuildings and they have sidewalks and a couple of farm buildings, they had to control stormwater runoff from the entire property, even if they're just building a pool. We had a lot of pushback years ago on that. So that was the only significant change where it's just you're controlling your new impervious unless there's a drainage problem or identified problem. Then your ordinance still requires them to fix that. But we actually have been doing that for a couple of years now, but it was never changed in the ordinance. For your former solicitor and manager, we've been reviewing permits, building permits like that, which is really what I recommend. I did discuss it with the board at the time a few years ago. It's very onerous on property owners when they come in for a shed and they're just or an outbuilding and they have to control all the basins were costing more than the project itself. So that was probably the biggest change. All the rest, there's DEP and Mr. Gardner did a great job of introducing it. It's the opening paragraph. They have a checklist that we have to go through. We'll help fill out of the changes that we have to have in the ordinance. And you meet most of those already because we had a very aggressive stormwater ordinance. We've always kind of been ahead of them. There's changes to definitions, some changes to sign standards. There's new use of green infrastructure and low impact development. It's all the sustainability that they're promoting. Some of it works. A lot of it doesn't around here. Unfortunately, you have to have really good soils. Depends where you're at, right? So we went through and made all those changes. I believe the motion is for you to, is this advertising or?
Just to authorize
Yeah,
advertising.
just advertisement, and then what you'll see in next month's packet in the clean version. If anybody has any comments, you can bring them up tonight or actually just email the staff. We'll make those changes and clean it up, but we had staff level, we didn't have any changes. If anybody has any questions, I'll answer them. I'll try to answer them. Some of these are technical changes.
Can you point out where the green infrastructure part is, please?
It's on page 3.
Well, on the checklist, it said that some of the things, use of green infrastructure, your ordinance may already have that.
Where is the checklist? I don't see a checklist in our packet.
I know. This is my cheat sheet to try to explain things. There's just the
Yeah.
checklist of thing. You
Yeah.
only have the changes. You don't
Yeah.
have the entire order. You're gonna get the entire ordinance, but nothing's changing in.
Except for these, but you said they
These are
had,
the sections that are changing. That's
you
it.
said they had included a little bit more green infrastructure, so I'm assuming
But I
somewhere in
also
there.
said your ordinance already covers a lot of.
Oh,
You're
okay.
way ahead
Alrighty.
of Most townships.
Gotcha.
with
Sorry.
ordinances. We've been pretty aggressive in this area with stormwater management ordinances, so a lot of them you already, I'm just listing a couple of projects.
What DEP is catching up to or
Well,
changing.
Some of them, they actually recommend reducing buffer yards. You have wetland margins where I think you have 50 feet, they said 10 feet or 25. So we didn't change that. If your ordinance was more restrictive, we didn't change it. They're not gonna say, no, reduce a buffer or wetland margin. So there was a couple where we were real surprised and we didn't change it because your current ordinance was fine.
Okay.
A lot of it's enforcement and you. A lot of townships don't have easements. We're beyond easements. We're doing conservation easements. There's deed restrictions. So your ordinance already covers a lot of those items.
All right.
Okay.
All right, I have a motion and a second. To advertise.
Mhm.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye, motion carried. All righty. Okay, we are on to letter N. Man, if we ever get to Z, we going AA or we going?
We're not getting to Z.
Yeah, right. I'm looking for a motion for the board to authorize advertisement of ordinance 2022-09-04. Amendments to chapter 15, part 5 of the township's code, towing.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Now then, I know this is Chief's baby, but do we want to hear from the solicitor first or from Chief first?
I believe that Sean and the chief and Matt spent some time working through this, so on Sean's behalf, I think he's suggesting we proceed with advertising. The chief can give you more of the practical reasons why this is being done.
I just want to hear from legal because legally we were told before we weren't allowed to do certain things with towing, so I just,
You can regulate towing.
okay.
You can't have, police department can't make special deals. You have a rolling list and the other things in there are appropriate. You're licensing people, telling you what they need to have by way of equipment. You can do all of that.
Okay, all right.
and if we don't get 2 licenses, then there's a provision for the chief to be able to,
Get some.
yes.
All right, very good. Chief?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, yeah, shortly after I got here, there was an issue with towing that was brought to my attention. In looking at the current ordinance, there's a system to create there's mention of creating a list of approved towers. However, there's no system to actually do that. So this ordinance addresses that issue of establishing the license requirements that the solicitor has mentioned, and for us to identify those that meet the requirements that are proposed in the ordinance. This here will then, it really, I can't remember where it happened. It was out towards the Jersey border. I believe there was a township that early in the year identified an issue where their tower was charging astronomical fees to the people who the police department was asking for the vehicles to be towed, and there was no regulation, right? So the tower basically was ripping people off. So this ordinance will help us
alleviate any of those issues and hopefully protect the township from any liability of the lowers, of the towers. And also provide the best services for the township residents.
All right, very good. Are there any comments or questions for Chief or Jeff?
No,
No, just good job.
All right, that's very good.
Yep.
Again, this is just a motion to advertise. So we have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. All right, next item on the agenda is, I'm looking for the board to for a motion for the board to authorize to advertise Township's 2022 capital improvement plan per the attachments.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Matt, I know you have some
Yes, yes.
things to tweak to this or explain.
So it was there's no requirement for us to advertise this document. It is a planning document. And so given that this was, I'm really proud of the draft capital improvement plan. I wanted to give an opportunity for this to live and breathe a little bit. And by advertising, let's make it public on the website and provide a link to it so people can review it and attend my September 12th presentation. I was planning on giving a presentation this evening, but was talked out of it by my crack team of professionals. Said, hey, the agenda's a little lengthy and don't want it to get lost. So can we push that back to September? So I agree. Now, at 30, I was like, man, I could have done it tonight. It's just a way for the board to really get invested in the idea of a capital improvement plan. And we haven't gone through this type of process before and doing the capital improvement plan in the first half of the year, budget in the second half, wash, rinse, repeat. So this is a new step, a new process, and I want the board to get invested in it, and literally and figuratively, and really take your time to digest it, because I'm going to throw a lot at you when I present. There's the capital plan that was attached to the meeting packet is only a snapshot. It's just the written memorialization of the proposed plan. There's so much data behind it that's living and breathing, including funding mechanisms on how we can fund this. And if we plug in different millage rates of what that would do to the long-term funding of each of the funds, the 270 some list of capital improvement needs, that inventory list. So all of those things still live and breathe. And I just wanted to take this moment and just really give a shout out to the entire staff. I couldn't have done it without them. And I believe my staff is truly invested in this because it was built organically. They all took ownership over their departments, identified those things. We compiled it, and those who were a part of, Mary Beth and Greg, who were on the capital improvement, the capital planning committee, saw that in action with our meetings. And so I just wanted to say thank you for them, and I'm looking forward to presenting this to the board at the September work session meeting. So it's more of a formality, even though it was included in the meeting packet. Maybe next year we won't include it in the meeting packet, so it makes it a little more special that we're advertising it. It's now available on the website.
When you say advertise, you don't mean to put an ad in the paper.
I do not.
You mean just make it
Make it
available
public.
to the public.
Yes.
So maybe we don't want to say advertise, because that has certain legal connotations.
Good.
You
So
authorization of
publicize.
to publicize it on
There
your
we go.
website.
So,
we'll
so
amend the
then
motion.
I will take a motion at this time to amend O to say motion to publicize the
On-
township's 5-year capital improvement plan on the township's website with paper copies available at the front window.
I second that motion. I mean, I
Make that
make that
motion.
motion.
Is there a second to amend the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, now I'm looking for a motion to approve that motion.
On paper,
No, I need
And
a
a-
first.
or I'll make that motion.
And a second.
I'll second.
Okay, now, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Got any questions?
Aye.
Aye.
I think we already covered that, didn't we? Questions?
He got to speak.
Oh, okay.
Just one quick question.
He's not making the presentation till the 12th.
Are we going to get some really good ideas on how to fund this project? That's all I'm going to ask is, are we
During
with,
this
as in in concert? saying this is what's going to happen and these are some ideas that we can do. I know it's going to be a whole bunch of information thrown at us,
That's a good
but
question.
I'd like to
And
take small bites at it. So,
if you remember, this is not a funding document.
no,
This is a policy document. And so this works in concert with the budget.
which is the funding document.
Right, that is the
Sorry.
funding document. And so conversations about whether or not you want this, you agree with the capital improvement plan, the way it's designed, if and when it is approved, it then segues beautifully right into the budget conversation. And if yes, we want to fund the capital improvement plan, it becomes where do we put it in the budget that's going to be adopted that following year. That's where we can get creative with looking at different funding mechanisms.
Okay.
I just have one comment. A big thank you to all staff and department heads who created the document, collected the data, et cetera. So thank you.
Yes, very well done.
Yeah.
By everyone.
We're proud of it.
It's a nice, very, very well created, crafted document. So I look forward to
Implemented.
figuring out how to implement it. Okay. All right, now we're good, right? We got, are we good, Jeff? All right.
Did we vote on it?
Yeah, we did.
We did. Okay.
I got, at least I got enough. All right, next motion on the agenda is I'm looking for the board to make a motion to adopt the revised township staff organization chart per the attachments.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. Matthew?
Thank you. So this was a result of the exec session that we met in a couple of weeks ago, where we discussed some personnel matters. And a municipality, in any organization's organization chart, I know it's a graphic, a picture, but it helps employees navigate the hierarchy of an organization. It's a visual tool for people to look at and see where they are within the organization. Through my past year's worth of work here, I've identified some minor tweaking to the current org chart. Okay, some massive tweaking to the current org chart. If you look at our employee manual, the employee manual includes an organization chart that is dysfunctional. It's not representative of what we do. And so I wanted to create an updated organizational chart that will then be a part of the updated employee manual. And so this org chart represents those three small changes by creating some more level hierarchies, creating an office of director of planning and zoning, hiring a director of planning and zoning, creating a parks and rec crew within public works and fully funding them through 2 employees and 1 foreman. And what I'm excited about, and I think Mike will give a shout out also, is a part-time special events coordinator. I think that these 3 tweaks will really enable us, while minor, outward looking, these are major changes internal of how we operate as an administrative staff that I'm really excited about. And I have to say that all of my staff are excited about as well. So I just wanted to say thank you to the board for sharing in this vision. It's a great opportunity for us to continue to move forward in the future. Thank you.
Do we still have the police services clerk? Since that was the appointment that we were not able to make tonight, are we still going to have that position?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just not the person that's listed
Yeah,
there.
that's all right. As long as it's the position's still staying there, that's,
And this is an internal document anyway, so.
well, it says we're adopting it.
I know, but it's
I'm just
but
making sure.
we're not gonna re-adopt it once we hire
No,
and put new names on it.
no,
So it's just to,
I just didn't whatever,
Yes, we are keeping that position.
that's all.
gotcha. And all the other positions have been advertised.
Yes.
Any applicants replied?
It's
To any of the
only been,
positions?
2 days. so
Okay.
That'd be lightning fast.
Words
I'd be
out,
suspect.
words out in the street though.
Travels quickly. Yep,
Don't you say
I'm excited. So thank you.
No, it's already out there.
All right, so I have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. All right, we are now moving on to the amended motion or added motion Q. I will now look for the board to make a motion. Goodness gracious, do I have to read this again? To authorize staff to procure professional services of a staffing agency to temporarily fill the police municipal services clerk position for an amount not to exceed $22,500 per the 2022 budget adopted by the Board of Supervisors.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's a first and a second. Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we had a late in the day change of plans with a hopeful employee who decided not to take the position, which put us in a tight spot, given that our current police services clerk is set to go out on maternity leave in a couple of weeks. And so in coordination with Chief Clouser, we did not believe we have enough time to re-advertise and interview and go through a hiring process, which is why we asked the board to consider hiring on a part-time basis, a temporary services to get us over through that, the maternity leave. Thank you.
Very good. Are there any comments or questions? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Okay. Now we move on to the last and final action item, letter R. I'm gonna just let you read the motion that I'm looking for the board to make.
Had it written here. Approved professional services contract with Corbett Incorporated for design services of the administrative area space and for planning services therein in the amount of $14,675.
All right, there is the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. Are there any comments or questions for Matt?
No.
Anyone?
Thank you.
If there's no comments or questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now you can say thank you.
Thank you.
Okey
Thank you. Thank you.
There we go.
dokey. All right, now we are moving on to the informational items section of our agenda for this evening. Township manager's report.
Talking a lot tonight. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to remind the board, we have two sets of record plans for your signing. They are outside of my office in the administrative area. If we could get all of your John Hancocks this evening on all of the sets of plans, that would be great. I just wanted to announce the Fall Festival coming up September 17th between 10 and 2 p.m., 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Just put that on your calendar. Efforts are underway to plan for that right now.
When you say that was 9?
September 17th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
There's something that I would like to bring before the board to get your take on. The past couple of weeks, I've been interacting with a resident regarding our favorite subject, conservation easements. Wait for it, right? This instance was a current property owner who did not do anything to, did not get into the conservation easement. They realized it by talking to their neighbor, realized that they couldn't do anything and came to the township to ask what they can and cannot do. So I spent a morning on site with this resident discussing all of the things with different types of easements, what you can, cannot do. Essentially, thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. Can't do anything. As a result of that, it got me thinking philosophically about our conservation easements and in wondering what, a recurring theme that I have been seeing as we've all been dealing with is how difficult, as I'm calling them, micro easements, how difficult it is for staff to manage these micro easements. I'm calling a micro easement as an easement, a conservation easement on a small tract of land, something that would be 2 acres or less. Is that valuable? Maybe in the grand scheme of things in a large subdivision land development plan, if you add them all together. But what's happening on the application side of it, in reality, residents have property that they can't do hardly anything with. And philosophically want to put it out there for the board to consider, for the board to continue a conversation about the value of conservation easements and how we apply them to municipal properties. And maybe for the board to consider a minimum lot size for that to happen. And if it falls below that minimum lot size, what are other ways that we can do to conserve land that are easier for the township to manage, maintain, enforce?
Going forward,
Moving forward.
right, because we can't do anything with existing.
Right. Well, great segue. So as part of this site visit, my understanding, and this happened prior to my tenure, my understanding is that the board at some time approved a swap of conservation easement within a property. I'm hearing that from staff that was done in the past, meaning it's a 1-for-1 swap. Maybe it doesn't make sense for this conservation easement to be in area A. Let's move it over here and make it area B.
Oh, yeah,
So
on the
it's
same site.
Right.
I thought you were talking
Same
about between two different properties. I was like, what?
On the same site. On the same site. So I am asking the board if you would still consider that, because the resident that I met with would like to pursue that if the board is amenable to it. Because if not, and the resident understands that it is at their expense and understanding the legal and engineering that goes into it and moving lines and that work. And they are amenable to moving forward if the board is interested in being receptive to that. I don't know what the total area will be. I did a quick Google map, and we're looking at 2,000 square feet. So it's a small area, right? So much time, such a small area. However, that 2,000 square feet would really enable this property owner to do something better and reinvest in township property. Is the board feeling any love for that, or any?
I think I would need a
Yeah,
better understanding of exactly what
I'd need to see the lot.
Yeah.
on
you're
a-
talking
on a-
about
exactly what
before
the
I'm
lot-
gonna say, oh yeah, that's a great idea,
Are we gonna keep
because
the same amount of
Yes.
conserved ground?
Yes, 100%, 1-for-1 swap. Just move it from the back of the property to the front of the property.
and is there a difference between the front and the back of the property in terms of natural area, woodland, et cetera?
Right of ways,
Connectivity.
all that kind of fun stuff.
That's
The conservation area, in my personal opinion, is junky area. There's not a lot there not a lot of nice trees, put it that way. It's just kind of messy looking.
And what's on the front of the property?
It still has incorporated conservation easement along the side of the property. In the front of the property, there's a stand of trees that are actually nicer than what's in the back of the property. And so there is some, I don't know if it would be a 1-for-1. The calculation that I did was just for the existing trees in the front, and it would be about 2,000 square feet that you could take from the back, which isn't as nice of an area, and it actually looks a little nicer in the front.
We have to know where the
I have.
public
think we
right
have-
of way goes
What
to.
else?
and-
I have to do it item by,
That's-
I have copies.
That's
of-
gonna open up a whole Pandora's box.
I know, right, and that's why.
Why do you
I'm
want
bringing it-
more headaches?
I don't personally. I'm doing my due diligence, bringing it to the board to see if whether or not you would be interested in this. Because they need to know, the property owner needs to know if the board is amenable to it. If not, they're gonna do something different and they're probably
Well,
going to move.
number one, we're gonna need specifics. Number
have
two,
specifics.
we need a legal opinion whether or not we could do that.
Is it part of an overall subdivision or just
Yeah.
one lot?
One lot.
No,
Well, it's,
no, it's.
If it's part of an overall
It's a great-
subdivision,
The job thing signed off on yet. If you're talking about New Limekiln Road, 2 doors down for Chacon and
Mhm.
next to our other friend, that whole back's preserved.
Mhm.
People, and this is where I was gonna, it's a slippery slope with a subdivision, because the people that all came out when that subdivision was approved. And I'm all for the swapping, so don't get me wrong, on certain ones, and I've been involved with them. But you gotta be careful, because the existing neighbors that are over here think they're getting this easement, and that was part of the deal, they're sitting out here 5 years ago. And now you start swapping. Now, in this case, I drove by and looked at it, and the woods is correct, it's a nicer area. When I was out there doing drainage and dealing with all the trees that were moved by our friend, It's not anything what it used to be. There was an old foundation from the farm building that I had to help, the box lane was really nice to help remove. But it was in an open space preserved area, which there's all junk, all ash, and it's completely gone.
Yes,
There's nothing left.
yes.
Well, the other thing is too, that if you establish on a subdivision plan of more than one lot, an area designated as conservation easement or whatever, everybody that has a lot in that original subdivision has to consent to that, because they bought property based upon a subdivision plan. And those amenities, those things that were part of that subdivision, they have certain rights in those.
So let me add on, the last couple we've done, and I could be wrong, but most of them I know, there may be one something, was just a single family home that preserved, and now they want to build a pool and they preserved this ag side of the ag soils instead of this side, and that's the last one you got where.
One of
or-
them was
or the
they
ash
preserved like the downhill and they should have preserved the
Right,
uphill
and
or
then-
something,
And then the other thing
yeah.
was they preserved where the ash trees were, and he said, I'll build a pool there and swap that, so they have been part of an overall subdivision.
Weren't they?
And that's where the slippery slope comes, is because it's site specific. That's where we need to review every single one once that, but the last couple have been just one property that wasn't part of an overall.
The one off Walters Road was not part of the subdivision? That's the one I'm thinking of, which was a pool where he did a swap 1-to-1.
It could have been, that was when we had the ash trees, the last one that came in, I think that one might have been part of the bigger
2
one.
years ago?
Yeah, there was
But
one
see,
2 years
what-
ago,
what-
yeah.
Yeah.
Describe was saying, like, the easement in the back of this one is all along the back, it's pretty uniform.
Yeah,
and It's
and it's
all.
Part of a contiguous
And
parcel.
and he would have to weigh in on whether or not, because I don't mind doing it, because you could preserve better woodlands with what he's proposing.
I agree with the concept too.
Yeah.
It's been done before, but it has to be in an appropriate and legal manner.
The devil's in the details, effectively.
I think they're gonna get caught up on the details, unfortunately.
And
The
the cost.
simplest answer is no.
Maybe the answer is no to this suggestion, but not closing the door forever.
You know, in all
to
fairness,
Anything else?
Matt doesn't get all of them because it doesn't bubble up.
Right.
So it's certain, usually it's newer homes, newer owners, it's not. And it's these cul-de-sacs off of Walter Road, you're right, Cynthia, it probably was that one, and all of a sudden, they don't realize what they bought, because now they're ready a couple years into, I want to do the pool, I want to do this and that. Zoning office gets that call, I've made decisions without even getting any further, the answer is no, and they go, okay, and they go do something else. The other thing is your zoning ordinance says, these conservation easements says you go down this path. What's the easement for? Preservation of woodlands, natural resources, or is it part of the ag soil where you still have ag soil preservation in your watershed district, so you gotta be careful what zoning district you're in. They can swap ag soils because it really doesn't matter. It's still a natural resource. It's not like this is better woods than that. So that's also the devil's in the detail of what type of natural resource. It's not just conservation easement doesn't mean trees. It just means it's a deed restricted area.
Well, I think step one is to have the new ordinances that you were talking about rewriting
Well, I think that's where we need, because.
so we can enforce what we're doing and then to identify what we do have.
We just.
But that development is already problematic. Because if you're saying that you'd have to go back to one of our prior issues and ask permission of them, and that's just gonna.
No, that'll go real well. It will. Isn't there an application pending right now that was just submitted? That's there.
I am not gonna even talk about that.
By the same individual.
So we're gonna have to say no on this one, but bring us any future ones.
Well, I would like to look at the conservation easement. Do we have an ordinance? Do we have any guidelines? Why we pick a conservation easement? What's the point of it? Is it just to keep trees? Is it to keep natural habitat? Is it to be contiguous? That sort of thing. I think we need to maybe relook at that whole concept, that idea of what the conservation easement is supposed to give us. I think it's a great idea on the big properties, because that is a large swath of land, but if it's.
I think it's just a
individuals-
way to get impervious and down, is it correct? I mean, that's why because you can't deed restrict,
Along with other things, yeah.
you know, you can't deed restrict a lot that, like, you can deed restrict for no further subdivision, but you can't deed restrict for no further, like, improvements to the property. So it's conservation easement is a way to reduce the amount of buildable land.
There you
Is
go.
that part of the
So,
calculations for open space on a land
Yeah.
development?
yes,
Yes.
Okay.
You're talking, there's different reasons.
yeah.
Between steep
Okay.
slopes,
I
storage,
read that
it's
there's
in-
all
it's in-
ones that are just woodlands that are becoming, you said enforcement, I think what Matt's doing eventually is he doesn't have the resources to do the enforcement on these smaller lots.
Yeah.
But the one you're referring to, I think we need to stay clear of.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion.
I think he's
Explore
heard,
other
he's
people
heard
here.
enough no's up here.
But as part of your zoning, that is, we'll get into that.
Yeah, because I
Because
do
I'll
think we
need-
need to relook
Well,
at
that
that.
stuff, we have
side.
a new solicitor, I think it's time for maybe the two of us to look a little fresh look at that. We hear you. I think the pendulum is swinging a little.
Legally enforceable creativity,
There you go.
Okay.
Practical.
practical.
Yes.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay.
Very good. All
Thank
right.
you.
Departmental reports. Has everyone had an opportunity to review all the other reports? Public
Yeah.
Works, fire, blah, 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 blah. So we
Yeah,
can just
we
get right
just-
into the vehicle.
Yeah, let's get right into the
Okay,
vehicle.
chief?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So last year, with 2021 budget, we were authorized to purchase a new vehicle. We presented the purchase of that vehicle as a hybrid Ford Interceptor SUV. The issue is we still don't have that vehicle. The vehicle is waiting for chips. Right, there's a shortage of chips to put in these hybrid vehicles, especially because they take more chips than what a typical gas vehicle takes. We have, in talking with the dealer, he has no indication of when we would get a hybrid vehicle. The alternative is to go with the gas version, which we could have within the next month. The price difference, the gas vehicle is actually less expensive by about $3,500. One of the things the reasoning behind going to the hybrid vehicle was, of course, for fuel cost savings. We estimate that we would save $1,500 to $2,000 a year for the hybrid vehicle. The status of the fleet, basically, we have two vehicles that are well over 110,000 miles. We have not replaced any vehicles since 2019 for the police department. So we're getting to a situation with, the unknown of not knowing when we're going to get a vehicle. Whereas we could, go with the gas version and have a vehicle sooner than later.
You've already procured all the technology for it, correct?
Yes, we have, with the exception of the in-car camera system, we're still exploring those options. So, I guess we're looking for the board's guidance on which way they would like to go. If you want us to wait for the hybrid vehicle or go with the gas vehicle. Our recommendation is to go with the gas vehicle for now. We can then, with the capital plan, there are vehicles in there for replacement. And, we'll get into talking about that obviously next month when Matt presents the plan. So we anticipate that we would continue with the order of the hybrid vehicle with the intention that we would be budgeted for it in future years.
Yeah,
Hopefully get it next year.
not canceling that order,
Right.
since it's taking so long. I just wanted to remind everyone that this is the vehicle that was budgeted in 2021.
I was gonna ask that.
So I
Thank
mean,
you.
it's like.
Is this vehicle a CoStar's acquisition?
Yes.
Yes.
How old in years are the two cars that are 110K?
One of them is, I don't have it in front of me, I just looked at it earlier. One of them is a 2010 Chevy Tahoe,
Okay,
and the other one I believe is a 2015
okay.
Dodge Charger. Both of which we've been putting a lot of money into.
The 2010 probably should have been replaced 4 years ago, but that's.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a gauge
Yeah.
of when
Yeah.
the, how we keep rolling through our cars.
Yeah,
So it's
you know,
about 5 to 7
So,
years,
so
maybe.
with the capital plan, what we recommended was to replace the vehicles every 5 years.
Okay.
Right? That would give us an average of 80 to 100,000 miles. Usually we can get warranties that are 5 years long. And the technology that goes into the vehicles usually only lasts 5 years.
Okay,
So it basically having that plan to replace the vehicles, we can get on a normal rotation where we're reducing the cost to maintain the vehicles and have a newer looking fleet.
So this would hopefully be the last gas vehicle we would have, hopefully, as long as we can get a hybrid
Yeah, I mean,
next year.
there are some specialty vehicles that, that they're not due to replace for a few years, but, by then, we, they may have the capabilities to.
Yeah.
To go with hybrids with those as well.
Is this a Ford that you're planning on purchasing?
Yes.
Well, I'd prefer to see the hybrid, but if it's not available and there's a need,
Yeah,
I think based on the fact that we can get the gas now, we can get the hybrid next year. That we were trying to get this year, at least we
Yeah.
can get the new vehicle and move forward.
We've been waiting 10 months already, is that
Yeah.
right?
We placed the order, I believe, in September of last year.
Okay, 11 months then.
And we asked you to let us know if you got to a point
And
where,
we've gotten to the
yeah,
point.
where you couldn't wait anymore for it.
Yeah. Okay.
and then how long would it take for you to get it all geared up, ready to be on the road?
The dealer's actually going to be speaking with the outfitter, I believe sometime this week to let him know. So he'll be able to get it scheduled, but we're probably looking at, it takes about 2 or 3 weeks for them to get everything in it.
Okay,
And then they have to do like a shakedown just to make sure everything's working right, right?
Yeah, and then we have to get it decaled as well.
All right, very good. So do we need to make any official, or we're just giving you the approval?
Yeah, the vehicle's already approved. It's
Yeah.
just- We're doing it, we're going with a different.
Well, actually, you're keeping the one order in place, so you're really acquiring another vehicle through the CoStar program. So I would think you make a motion to
purchase another
purchase
vehicle.
another vehicle off the CoStar list being gas and leave the other one in place, because you already went through that.
I'll make a motion to do that.
Well,
Need to amend the agenda?
hold on.
Oh, okay,
This
excuse me.
time I'm looking for a motion to amend the agenda to add letter S. We're gonna get to Z. And that motion is the motion that Jeff just presented to everybody. I'm looking for that motion.
to
I'll make
amend the
that-
agenda,
Yes.
I'll
I'll make,
Okay, so we have a first and a second to amend the agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye, motion carried. Now I will be looking for the board to make a motion to approve the motion that Jeff presented to us.
So moved.
Second.
And would anybody like to hear the clarified motion from Jeff again?
Yes, I think you should restate it for the,
Well, I think first of all, you amended the agenda because of the necessity of acquiring another vehicle promptly. So what you're doing is you're not undoing your suggestion or your request or your bid for the hybrid. You're just authorizing the acquisition of an additional police vehicle being gas off the CoStar's list.
Okay, so real quick question though. Sorry. What happens if a hybrid miraculously comes available November 15th and it's not in the 2022 budget? That's the issue.
You'd have to amend your budget for 2022 to reflect the additional expenditure by taking it from contingencies or other areas of the police budget.
can we
Happens
amend the
regularly.
budget this late into the budget?
You could always
You
amend
can
it.
always amend it.
Okay, All right,
But present us that problem.
okay. I don't think you're gonna have that problem.
Yeah.
But it could be just.
I think this will end up being a carryover budget item to next year, but yeah, all right, so. We have a motion, a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carried.
Thank you, and if there was any other questions.
Just Chief, how did you see or feel that the National Night Out was a positive experience to be within all those other emergency?
It was a good experience for us. I think, next year I will have a better idea what I need to request if we do participate. Because I think the spacing of how it was laid out wasn't really, what we felt it was gonna be.
Okay.
So, that'll be something we'll look at as we get ready to prepare for next year.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? You want to keep it quick there, Mr.
Yes, well,
Solicitor?
we'll keep it quick. It's there. We're late because Reader was on vacation. We wanted her comments on how far she and Matt are with the new employment manual and all that sort of stuff. So unless anybody has any questions, I think it speaks for itself.
Are there any comments or questions regarding the solicitor's report?
No.
Hallelujah.
You
Oh, boy.
have our
He took a breath before he
August
started
agenda
talking.
report. I have no additions to that report, except I would ask that Mike make sure the record plans that you're gonna sign tonight, that I'm not waiting for you to sign tonight, be given to Janine tomorrow morning when she's here. We will get those plans scanned in, and then for our new procedures, solicitors reporting all plans, so we will scan those record plans and get them to staff and solicitor.
We're doing that because of my past earlier life. Someone took plans from the township developer and modified the plans before they were recorded. So that's why it's never a good idea to have developers record the plans. Not saying that the people you deal with would do that, but it's a problem. That's why we do it.
It's a nice safeguard.
Brings up an interesting point we'll have to have a little chat about. Yes, I appreciate that.
I have one nugget, but no discussion item at this time. The hydraulic study for Walters Road should be submitted to township staff, the manager. Before Janine goes on vacation at the end of the week. I signed off on the final edits. They're being done hopefully tomorrow, the next day. Just to let you know, I did put in there 3 options just to give you a little, what is it, magnitude of scale of what it would take to do it the right way, which I think Matt and I have already shown you, like, this is what you need. I wouldn't allow them to do a bridge because it's unrealistic and you would never do it, but how big of a culvert you could do. It turns out, I was saying all along and been doing it long enough, the road is a dam holding back the water. It doesn't matter how big we make the culvert. There is so much water coming down there that the design engineer does, all our hydraulic studies said, for a back road, blah, 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 this is, wow, it's just too much water. But we designed 3 options, not for you to go build it, but just to maybe put in, to look at the budget someday and magnitude of scale for Matt to say, all right, if it happens again, what are we gonna do? But the actual swath was 500 feet of the road. I think I said 300, I guess 300. It turns out it was almost 500 feet. So for you to scan the floodplain, you have to build something up 2 feet and out 500.
Maybe there's an old bridge somewhere that we could buy and move over.
So I think that's getting reimbursed by FEMA. Mike's been asking for that report. It's quite complicated given the scenario, but we'll be sending that report hopefully in the next couple of days.
And I forgot to announce Walters Road rebuild is starting Monday. Actually, probably might even be starting tomorrow and Wednesday with taking out the guide rails.
Yay.
Yes.
School year's coming.
Yeah, I think we might have it done before the next hurricane comes in
Yeah,
September.
right, just in time.
Yeah. Another one.
Just look that up.
Okay,
2 years in a row, though.
where are we at
2
now?
years in a row.
Board of Supervisors
Supervisors.
comments. I have a quick comment, I think. Quick. I'm very happy to have the new person that we'll be hiring, Director of Planning and Zoning. Because I believe that will be the staff person we would need to restart the Open Space Committee or an Environmental Advisory Committee. I think we certainly have seen that there is work for that committee to do. Our open space plan dates from 2008. We're not sure where our conservation easements are. We aren't sure where our open space is.
Well, we know
Uh,
where our open space is. That's the easy part. Conservation easements, not so much.
Most of it, and what's there and what's going on with it. So, this will be the idea that we will reinstitute that committee to do whatever it did when it was disbanded in 2008. This is my vision board for you. I've been talking to some other townships and things, and they've suggested that an EAC might be a better thing to have. It would give us more flexibility to do things, but most importantly, to obtain grants, free money to do things that need to be done. So, there's a lot of money out there we have not been getting our hands on because we have nothing in place to apply for it or to produce grants for. So, did I say free money?
Mhm.
Okay, that's all I have.
Anyone else have any comments?
No.
Bill? No? We sure? Okay, committee reports. No, you sure? Okay, you took a breath.
No, I'm
Okay.
sure. I'm
Committee
sure.
reports, Park and Recreation Committee.
I believe there was a meeting. I had the July meeting minutes in the board. SharePoint. Nothing to report.
There will be no meeting tomorrow night. If tomorrow night's meeting is cancelled. Next meeting will be September.
Very good. Good. Anything else before I go to the announcement? It seems like every time I go to the announcement, somebody has something that I have to correct. Are we good?
Oh, good.
No. Jeff, did we do everything properly?
Oh, you were once.
Oh, you are such a good liar. All right, we're going to make the following announcement before we adjourn this evening. The next meeting of the Board of Supervisors of New Britain Township will take place on Monday, September 12th, 2022 at 10 a.m. Again, that is 10 a.m. here at the New Britain Township Building. The agenda and meeting materials will be posted at the Township's website on the Township's website prior to the meeting date at newbritaintownship.org. As well as that, the recording of this meeting should be up on the Township YouTube page within the next 24 to 36 hours. Thank you all for attending this evening, and I will now take a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Any comments or questions about adjournment? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you all. Yeehaw.